In a world where raw strength collides with unyielding momentum, two of the most powerful beings face off in an epic battle for dominance. Hulk, fueled by rage and resilience, clashes with Juggernaut, the unstoppable force, who will outlast the other in this ultimate test of power. Welcome to Realms of Rivalry, where we bring you the fiercest showdowns in the universe. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more legendary battles. The wasteland stretched for miles, barren and desolate, the remnants of a once thriving city now reduced to nothing more than ruins. The air was thick with smoke, the faint smell of charred remnants hanging in the air. The earth trembled beneath the feet of a giant, unstoppable force, Juggernaut. His massive frame moved through the wreckage as though it were little more than a playground. With each step, the ground beneath him cracked, and the buildings collapsed in his wake. His laughter echoed through the devastation. As Juggernaut advanced, the sky seemed to darken, and the distant horizon quivered from the force of his steps. He had no regard for the destruction around him. His only purpose was to assert his might, to leave nothing but chaos in his wake. The wreckage of a shattered city was his testimony, his proof of power. But then, the ground shook again. But this time, it wasn't the tremor of Juggernaut's steps. The noise that followed was a thunderous crash, the sound of something far more powerful making its presence known. From the distance, a hulking figure emerged, crashing. The Hulk, a massive green beast of muscle and rage, appeared on the horizon, his angry eyes blazing with fury. He had sensed the destruction and couldn't resist the call for battle. The two titans faced each other, standing at the edge of what was left of a crumbled skyline. Juggernaut smirked, sizing up his opponent, his fists clenched, ready for the inevitable clash. Hulk, his teeth bared and his fists already raised, glared at Juggernaut. The air between them crackled with tension, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Without a word, Juggernaut charged, his immense frame charging like a living force of nature. The ground trembled beneath him, and the air was filled with the sound of his unstoppable momentum. Hulk barely had time to react as Juggernaut plowed toward him, fists swinging with the force of a freight train. Hulk leapt to the side, his massive body twisting midair as Juggernaut barreled past him, missing by mere inches. But the force of Juggernaut's charge sent shockwaves through the ground, and the impact caused a ripple in the earth beneath Hulk's feet. Hulk skidded backward but regained his footing just in time to see Juggernaut already turning, ready to strike again. The battle had begun. Juggernaut's next punch came in fast and brutal. Hulk had no choice but to meet it head-on. The collision of their fists sent a shockwave that shattered the nearby rocks, sending debris flying in every direction. Hulk grunted as the force of the blow rattled him, but his resilience was unmatched. He quickly retaliated with a crushing blow to Juggernaut's side. The punch landed with a sickening thud, but Juggernaut didn't flinch. He was a force that didn't yield. Juggernaut roared in response and swung his fist downward, aiming to crush Hulk with a hammer-like blow. But Hulk was faster. He ducked beneath the swing, rolling away from the massive punch, and with one powerful leap, he slammed his elbow into Juggernaut's back, sending the giant staggering forward. The two behemoths clashed again and again, the ground beneath them breaking apart, sending massive shockwaves through the battlefield. Hulk's strikes were relentless, each one becoming more powerful as his anger grew. He had faced mighty foes before, but Juggernaut's strength was like nothing he had ever encountered. With every blow he took, Hulk's power increased, and he was becoming more determined to overcome this mighty opponent. His body regenerated almost instantly after each hit, and with each passing second, he felt himself growing stronger. But Juggernaut, relentless as always, did not stop. His charge never faltered, and his fists continued to land blow after blow. The force of each punch seemed to shake the very core of the planet. Yet, despite the overwhelming power behind his attacks, Hulk found a way to keep going. He was not just reacting to Juggernaut's moves. He was learning, adapting, finding the gaps in Juggernaut's endless assault. Every time Juggernaut launched another charge, Hulk was already one step ahead, moving faster and striking harder. He didn't need to match Juggernaut's raw strength head-on. Instead, he used the environment, dodging and weaving between the debris, using the surroundings to his advantage. Hulk began to shift his strategy. He knew that Juggernaut's unstoppable momentum, while powerful, could also be his greatest weakness. The more Juggernaut charged, the more the terrain around him became an obstacle. Rocks, fallen columns, and twisted metal began to slow Juggernaut's advance, forcing him to change direction, to find new paths of destruction. Hulk began to lead him into tighter areas, where Juggernaut's size and raw power worked against him. In these confined spaces, Hulk could land strikes that Juggernaut had no room to avoid. Each time Juggernaut tried to push through, Hulk made sure to strike just hard enough to weaken his resolve, chipping away at the impenetrable wall that was Juggernaut's confidence. The battle wasn't about sheer force anymore. It was about endurance, about how much Hulk could take before Juggernaut began to show signs of fatigue. Hulk could feel it, the first hint of hesitation from Juggernaut. His unstoppable momentum was beginning to slow. In the midst of this brutal back and forth, something began to shift. Juggernaut's breath was heavy now, his once unshakable determination showing cracks. His feet were beginning to drag, and his once mighty charge was no longer as quick. Every time he tried to slam his fist into Hulk, the impact wasn't as forceful as before. The world seemed to tilt in Hulk's favor as the green behemoth, covered in bruises and blood, began to press forward, landing hit after hit with increased precision. Juggernaut was showing signs of wear. His movements had slowed, his steps no longer as thunderous. Then Hulk saw his moment. Juggernaut, winded from the prolonged fight, attempted another charge, but this time his body hesitated. That hesitation was all Hulk needed. He ducked low, and with all the strength he could muster, Hulk grabbed a massive boulder from the wreckage, hurling it toward Juggernaut's path. The boulder collided with Juggernaut's chest, stopping him in his tracks. For a brief second, Juggernaut's charge faltered. Hulk took full advantage. He lunged at Juggernaut, grabbing him by the shoulders and lifting him into the air. With a mighty roar, Hulk slammed Juggernaut into the ground, the earth cracking beneath them like a thunderous explosion. The impact left a massive crater, the force of it reverberating through the battlefield. Juggernaut groaned beneath the weight of the blow, his body dazed and disoriented. His once unassailable aura of invulnerability was starting to crack. Hulk loomed over him, breathing heavily, bloodied but unbroken. This was the moment he had been waiting for. With a final, powerful punch, Hulk drove his fist into Juggernaut's chest, sending him flying backward, crashing through debris, rocks, and trees. The impact sent shockwaves through the surrounding area, knocking the wind from Juggernaut's lungs. Juggernaut lay motionless, his body crumpled beneath the weight of the battle. Hulk stood victorious, though exhausted, as the dust settled around him. He could barely hear the faint echo of Juggernaut's heavy breathing, but it was clear the battle was over. The once mighty Juggernaut, who had charged through everything in his path, now lay defeated. Hulk's chest heaved with each breath, his muscles aching from the battle, but his mind was clear. He had faced the unstoppable, the indestructible, and he had worn him down. His resilience, his ability to adapt, and his sheer fury had triumphed over Juggernaut's brute strength and relentless charge. Hulk looked down at his fallen opponent, his rage now spent, And for the first time in a long while, he felt a quiet satisfaction. The world around him was silent now, the battlefield still and barren. Hulk knew that this victory, hard-earned and costly, would be remembered. He had faced the strongest force and emerged victorious, not by overpowering Juggernaut's strength, but by outlasting him, by being more relentless, by being more unstoppable.